Congressman Gerald Nadler now joins us now. He's a leading Democrat. He's not been happy about how this debt has played out there. Congressman Nadler, welcome back this time. I hope we can speak this time. Earlier today,
this time I can hear you.
John Boehner said that the American people, he said, to the American people, I would have to say, we've tried our level best. I know you're a Democrat, but you have many Republican friends. Have the Republicans in the House tried their level best?
Well, tried their level best to do what? They've repeatedly given us bills that are so far to the right and so injurious to the middle class and to low-income people that we couldn't consider them. And the fact is, they have created out of whole cloth an artificial crisis around this debt ceiling. The fact is that we've raised the debt ceiling 50 times since in the last 45 or so years. It's a normal proceeding. In the past, both political parties have demagogued it occasionally, but no one ever doubted the necessity for raising it. And the point is, as the president said today, to raise the debt ceiling is not to say we're going to spend a lot of money in the future. It's to recognize that you have to pay the bills you incurred in the past as a result of decisions made 2, 3, 5, 7 years ago. In this case, mostly during the Bush administration. Not to raise the debt ceiling is the equivalent of having a fancy meal in an expensive restaurant, getting the bill, and then saying, gee, you know, my credit card's a little full. I don't think I'll pay the bill. You can't do that. Having
watched what played out over there, and particularly with the Tea Party wing of their party, watching all that play out, do you see a path to a deal now?
No, I don't. I've been afraid for the last few weeks that they're going to drive the country off the cliff, that the country may very well default, and that if we do, it will be economically catastrophic. Because they can't seem to take yes for an answer. I mean, the fact is, the first issue, clearly, most of the deficit that we have now, about half of it is because of the Bush tax cuts. A lot of the rest is because of the unfunded wars in Iraq and Afghanistan started in the Bush term, which the first wars in American history that they didn't raise taxes to pay for.
Well, and in fairness, a lot of it is because our economy has taken a tremendous nosedive.
And a fair amount of it is because that's right, because the economy has taken a nosedive. It's not because of any great spending splurge by the Obama administration, which didn't occur.
So what do we do now? If you don't see a clear path forward right now, you've been there a while, you know how this sort of stuff works. How do we fashion such a path?
The only way to fashion such a path, I mean, because, well, let me just say one thing. You have to understand how bad the Boehner plan or anything they're insisting on is. If they had, I mean, and I've seen too much commentary saying Boehner and Reid aren't that far apart, which is nonsense. Aside from the question of 2 votes versus 1 vote in the year, the second half of getting the debt ceiling raised is dependent on a second $1.6 trillion spending cut, which will be almost entirely from entitlements, because you will already have eviscerated the discretionary part of the budget, which means you'd have to make draconian cuts in Social Security and Medicare, far more draconian than even in the Ryan budget. And we simply, Democrats, simply cannot stand for that, period. We're not going to abrogate all our commitments to the seniors and to people who are dependent.
You just said a moment ago that people are mistaken to say that Mr. Boehner and Mr. Reid are not that far apart. This is knowledge you have.
That the plans released by them. No. I don't mean that the plans that they had.
Right.
The Reid plan and the Boehner plan. What they're talking privately, if they are, I have no idea.
But you're saying those plans, to your knowledge, really are very, very far apart.
They are very far apart because one plan, the Reid plan, counts as $1 trillion in savings. The drawdown on the savings from the drawdown on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, which I think is legitimate to do. The Boehner plan wouldn't do that and would say you have to have an additional cuts of $1 trillion. And that would necessitate really murdering Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits, Medicaid, and so forth.
All right. Well, Congressman Nadler, thanks so much for joining us. I know it's going to be a long weekend for you as well. And hopefully, somehow, between you and your Republican colleagues, something will be worked out. Thanks for being here.
Well, if we don't work it out, the president's going to have to exercise his option under the 14th Amendment, and we hope we can persuade him to do that.
We'll get talking about that later on. That's very interesting stuff. Thanks a lot, Congressman. We appreciate it.